Let me tell you a famous story from history. It involves a prophesied woman. Today's main character is Bo Ji, and later, consort Bo. She lived during the Qin Empire and through the Western Han transition. This was a time of famous rivalry between two men. Who were they?
Liu Bang and Xiang Yu, the Chu-Han struggle.
Yes, she lived in that era. Her background is quite interesting. At that time, Qin Shi Huang unified China. When China was unified, there were still several, relatively large smaller states. Bo Ji's mother was a noblewoman in Wei at the time. A high-ranking woman from the royal family. When she was young and stirred by emotion, she got together with a lowly male servant. It was a remarkable tale. Then, they had a daughter, Bo Ji. This little girl, you see, was a true figure from real history. So Bo Ji was born into a very awkward family atmosphere. Her father was a lowly servant, and her mother was a noblewoman, but deeply humiliated. The mother felt sorry for the child because of her decision. So, she cared for her with great tenderness. As Bo Ji grew older, her mother tried every possible way to find connections and help this girl. She was given to the king of Wei at the time. His name was Bao. She was to marry King Wei Bao. But back then, there was no concept of monogamy. No rules on how many wives or children one could have. If you had power, you could marry as many as you wanted. For the kings, it was even less clear. I bet they lost count of how many wives they had. Thus, Bo Ji's mother did everything she could. After marrying the king of Wei, she became just one of many women in the harem. Just one among them. After 2 or 3 years, she discovered that her daughter, Bo Ji, was not pregnant yet. Because Wei Bao was not interested, this made her worried and anxious. In the palace, if the king ignored you, you were no better than a commoner. Her mother decided to find someone to predict her future. She was born a noble. Her mother spent a fortune in that era to hire someone even Qin Shi Huang consulted. Later, Emperor Liu Bang of the Western Han granted noble titles and high office to this master physiognomist named Su Fu, a female physiognomist. Women were often more perceptive in this art. Today, those of us studying physiognomy believe much knowledge comes from her. Her teachings were passed down this way. Bo Ji's mother spent a great fortune hiring a top fortune teller, Master Su Fu, to read Bo Ji's fortune. The plan was for her, a servant, to marry King Wei Bao. When Su Fu saw her, she said, "No rush. This girl will be extraordinary. She will be the richest and most honored person. How rich and honored! She will bear the true emperor." She would be the Empress Dowager. At that time, she would be the most powerful woman in the world. That's what Su Fu, a physiognomy master, said at that time. His mother was overjoyed to hear it, dancing for 3 days straight with happiness. The news soon spread outside. The king of Wei, who had previously ignored Bo Ji, learned about the prophecy and started looking for Bo Ji. At that time, Wei Bao was only a king, not an emperor. A king was ranked below an emperor. That's the distinction. The highest ruler was the emperor. Kings were of a lower rank than emperors. Upon discovering the prophecy, Wei Bao decided to treat Bo Ji with respect, hoping for a return. And the result? She never got pregnant. I never checked history to see if King Wei got others pregnant. I didn't verify that. Bo Ji couldn't conceive. No sign of pregnancy at all. It's quite frustrating, isn't it?
Yes.
But during this time, the king of Wei was left in charge. If you know history well, when Liu Bang and Xian Yu were fighting for power, hadn't Qin Shi Huang already conquered the 7 states? After Qin Shi Huang died, his son lacked the strength to control the entire country. So, rebellions began. The easiest to rebel were the former small states. Zhao, Wei, Chu, and other states all rose up. People from the former royal family rebelled. When Liu Bang and Xian Yu were competing, Xian Yu's title was the hegemon of Western Chu. Chu means the Chu kingdom. He was also a descendant of Chu's royal family. That's the case. So former royal descendants were most likely to rebel. They were kings by birth. If you stripped them of their power, they would reclaim it. The king of Wei originally allied himself with Liu Bang. Liu had many followers and troops. The king of Wei, at first, joined forces with Liu in an allied army. It was an alliance to fight against the Qin Emperor's dynasty. That was during the reign of Qin Ershi. That's how it was. After Qin Ershi was overthrown, Liu Bang was in competition with Xian Yu, who also rebelled to overthrow Qin Ershi at that time. They were evenly matched. That's the basic historical timeline. So, the king of Wei, after discovering Su Fu's prophecy about Bo Ji, believed that the world would belong to him in the future. If his wife were truly able to give birth to an emperor, then why should he ally with Liu? Being his own boss was preferable to being bossed by Liu. That's what he thought. They were allies, but Wei Bao decided to quit. Enraged, Liu eliminated him. He killed the king of Wei. Do you know why he took over Wei? At that time, on the map of Greater China, the location of the state of Wei was akin to the core of the mainland. If it wasn't destroyed, the country couldn't unify. So regardless of who was emperor, this clan had to be eliminated. So, Wei Bao was killed. Then, the women in the royal palace of Wei all became part of Liu Bang's harem, because Wei was destroyed by him. They were made to work, wash clothes, farm, spin cotton, sew. Bo Ji was also one of his many women. She was sent to the Han King's harem to work as a weaver.
A slave.
She ended up as a slave in the Han king's harem. Just like that.
A roller coaster fate.
Being a wife of a royal family member wasn't easy. Moreover, she was merely one of the several women of the Wei king. She didn't give birth to an emperor and ended up becoming a slave. Her husband was even executed. Such a difficult fate. The slaves were constantly worried. They lived in fear of being executed one day.
Was Su Fu's prophecy unreliable?
Continue listening. We're discussing Su Fu, a widely admired prophet. It's not the end of the story yet. Impossible. Bo Ji was a refined woman. First, she was born into nobility. Yes, her father was a slave, but not an ordinary one. If he was able to attract Bo Ji's mother, he must have been exceptionally smart. Bo Ji came from a noble family. She received an excellent education from childhood. At that time, the highest trend was the philosophy of Taoism. It greatly influenced both Bo Ji's mother and Bo Ji's upbringing. She was, first and foremost, refined. Studying Taoism meant adopting scholarly values. That made her well-mannered. So she was very considerate. She never competed with others. She believed she could help her friends who accompanied her. She always wanted to give back. And she didn't like to claim what wasn't hers. If she could help, she gladly did. She gave what she could. She was a good woman.
So she was well liked.
Yes, both in ancient times and now. She was definitely a woman everyone praised. Besides, she wasn't especially attractive. But she was very sincere. I think the ladies liked to have her around. She had a few close girlfriends. One day, introduced by others, Liu Bang got involved with the two close friends of Bo Ji. Liu Bang praised them, saying they were sensible and beautiful. The two consorts told Liu about Bo Ji, saying that she's not very pretty but very virtuous. They even told Liu about Su Fu's prophecy. There, Liu became interested, and a meeting was arranged. He would meet Bo Ji the next day. When they met, Liu thought she looked like an ordinary maid. And he wasn't impressed or interested. There was nothing special about Bo Ji. So Liu didn't want to waste his time. Well, Liu was not short of beautiful women, and he was definitely not going to show interest in an ordinary-looking maid. Bo Ji was certainly not outstanding among those beauties. Bo Ji was very wise and quick to react. She told Liu that she had a strange and wonderful dream. So, Liu stopped and listened. Bo Ji said she dreamed of a dragon curled on her belly the night before they met. Liu thought that dream was auspicious. So, he spent the night at Bo Ji's place. This is a historical record. Later, Bo Ji was fortunate enough to become pregnant. After 10 months, she gave birth to a true emperor's child. A boy, Liu's child. Liu was called the King of Han. That was the king of Han's child. Eventually, Lu became the emperor, the founder of the great Han dynasty. He had 7 or 8 sons. But at that time, in Lu Bang's harem, there appeared 2 powerful women whom even historians find chilling to this day. These 2 women triggered a terrifying historical event. One was Lu's youngest legitimate wife. His official, lawful wife. With the surname Lu, known in history as Empress Lu, Lu was often away at war. During his campaigns, he grew fond of a beautiful woman named Qi. She is historically called Lady Qi. Qi was a remarkable woman. She was recorded as beautiful and intelligent. She was known for singing and dancing. After battles and tedious meetings, Lu was able to relax with the companionship of a charming woman who could speak well. She was intelligent, beautiful, and youthful. Lu was strongly drawn to Qi. So when Empress Lu, Lu's official wife, was away, Qi ascended to control the harem. However, Qi had a significant flaw. Namely, she became jealous quickly. The women Lu showed interest in would face consequences, either punished physically or tortured to death. How critical was this flaw? The women in the harem were subjected to cruelty, defamed by her fabricated tales and whispers. She even harmed some of Lu's ministers. This was a serious problem. What would Lu's rightful wife, Empress Lu, do when she returned? Lu was no pushover. She wouldn't get jealous easily. But when faced with the cunning Qi, she could discipline her in front of Lu. By today's standards, Qi was a mistress. Yet she was bold enough to take on the official wife. She seriously crossed the line. But Qi ignored everything. She fought Lu and competed for Emperor's favor. She also did something that caused great turmoil in the entire court. After becoming the emperor of the Han dynasty, Lu was already quite aged. Back then, during the Western Han, people's average lifespan was only in their 20s. At that time, people lived only about 22 to 25 years on average. Medical care was insufficient. Food was scarce, and wars made things worse. People lived short. Lu was already in his 40s, which was considered quite old. So when he became emperor, he quickly appointed a crown prince. The crown prince, or heir, was the successor to the emperor's position. This successor must be the emperor's legitimate biological child, specifically Lu's own child. The child must be of Lu's bloodline. Clearly, Lu Bang couldn't choose anyone else as emperor. No one would accept it. So, he appointed Lu Ying, the crown prince, the son of Lu and Lu, to take the throne. That's the case. The heir to the throne was already decided. But she wouldn't accept this. She wanted to surpass Lu. She tried to convince Lu to replace the crown prince. She wanted her own son, Rui, to take the throne. Lu adored Rui greatly. Younger children often win their parents' affection more easily. She wanted Rui to replace Lu Ying. This didn't go down well with Lu. Look, a mistress took her husband, her control over the harem, and even wanted the crown prince replaced for the throne. In fact, all the court officials were unhappy. But Qi's persuasion was extremely powerful. She managed to convince Lu. This forced Lu to a dead end, who, at that time, was under great pressure. She sought many ways and methods to persuade her husband not to change his mind. As the person who understood Lu the most, she sought out help from the 4 hermits. These 4 hermits were exceptionally wise men, cultured and intelligent, scholars of the highest order. All 4 lived in seclusion on Mount Shan. They were called the 4 Whiteheads of Mount Shan. They were old and had white hair. Now, let's talk about 4 wise elders. Lu invited them to assist him. But these 4 men did not come. Lu used her influence, and surprisingly, got these 4 experts to come. Together, they commented on the matter. These 4 elders, or gentlemen, declared that the crown prince, Lu Ying, would be a virtuous and compassionate ruler. He was cherished by both heaven and the people. This was both a praise and an affirmation. At that time, key ministers in the court also held this belief. Most still believe Lu and the crown prince, Lu Ying, were wrongly accused. The child had a noble character. Lu Ying was very kind-hearted. They all disliked Qi's arrogant behavior.
Arrogant.
She was overbearing, right? They turned a blind eye to what she did. But her plan was to replace the crown prince. Although Lu considered it, he didn't go through with it. He called it off after seeing Lu Ying had gained the approval of the ministers. He'd have the support of everyone. So, no changes were made. A few years later, Lu passed away. This was the political climate of Lu's era. As the emperor, Lu's children would automatically become kings. They were sent to the other states, like Chu, Zhao, Wei, and Yan, to rule as kings of the states. How? All the mentioned states were a part of Western Han's territory. Yes, all his sons would be made kings. After the Western Han dynasty, the throne was rarely passed to outsiders. This was the case unless an outsider had made contributions recognized by all. So, back to Qi and Lu's power struggle. During this time, Lu passed away. After he died, he left about 7 or 8 sons. All of them became kings. After the funeral, the sons entitled to a state had to go to the state they were assigned to. If it was Dai, they went to Dai. If Qi, then Qi. They couldn't stay in the capital. Bo Ji's son was made king of Dai. He was also Lu's son, only 7 or 8 years old. Bo Ji was very intelligent and wise. Seeing the rivalry between Qi and Lu at its peak, and with the emperor no longer around, she knew staying in the capital was not safe and she could lose her life. So, her son was made the king of Dai. She hurried to Lu to request leave. She said that since he's now the king of Dai and the emperor had died, they should hurry to manage the state of Dai. Bo Ji was very capable in handling people. She was very respectful to her elder sister, Lu. Lu was very easygoing by nature. She saw Bo Ji as generous and kind-hearted. Keeping her around was not going to help much. So why not just let her go to the state of Dai? The state of Dai covered what is now Hebei, Shaanxi provinces, and Mongolia. It's roughly a border area, not particularly wealthy. Just a small country at that time. Bo Ji and her son stayed there for over 10 years. After arriving there with her child, Bo Ji deeply cared for the people. She lived simply and frugally. She never indulged in luxury or pride. She truly loved her people. They were made the rulers of the state of Dai. Her son was the king. That made her like a queen mother. Since her son was young, she effectively ruled. She understood governance deeply. Influenced by Taoism, she treated the people well. She knew that all lives must be cherished. She was very kind to the people. She never exploited or bullied anyone. She also passed on her values and compassion to her son. Her son was also very kind. During her rule, Lu was already dead. After Lu's death, the darkest tragedy in history occurred. Lu, who was Lu's legitimate wife, had the minister's support and backing. She held great prestige. She quickly destroyed Qi's family. She poisoned Qi's son, Rui. She inflicted on Qi a torture worse than death. Qi's ears were deafened, eyes blinded. Her tongue was cut off, and her limbs amputated. I bet Qi wished for death more than to be alive. This was Lu's revenge. She wasn't like this originally. But their fierce struggle changed her. She attempted to replace the crown prince, didn't she?
Her animosity had long been buried.
Her hatred drove her cruel punishment methods. So she left Qi in a state worse than death. She annihilated Qi's entire clan. In time, she eradicated all of Liu Bang's favored consorts. But that wasn't the extent of it. She even bestowed titles upon all the undeserving men, from her Lu family, kings, generals, and so forth, occupying the most influential positions in the government. 300 to 400 people, all from the Lu family. Their servants were all installed in government roles. 15 years following Lu's demise, the nation was governed by Lu Ying, who was dominated by his mother's overpowering influence. He merely nodded and obeyed her commands. Lu dictated all decisions, whom to appoint, and even whom to execute. So, what she said was taken as his decree. She ruled behind the curtain.
A puppet emperor.
Indeed, puppet emperors are usually too young to rule. They don't know how to rule. Plus, Lu Ying was frail. His mother was effectively a tyrant. Lu Ying died in his 20s, while the country was ruled by his mother. A young emperor succeeded him, and died 7 or 8 years later. So Empress Lu's real reign lasted a full 15 years. Yes, 15 years of absolute power. After the powerful Empress Lu passed, the loyal ministers who survived quickly united to revolt. They initiated a campaign to dismantle the Lu family's power. They brought Lu's descendants back to the court. During that period, many of Lu's princes were killed.
By Lu.
Ultimately, 2 managed to survive. One was Lu's adopted son, Lu Chang. He survived. Lu favored this adopted son, so he grew up extremely arrogant and would beat anyone he wished. This led to everyone disliking him. Another person, the child of Bo Ji, also survived.
Lu Heng.
Yes, Lu Heng. Everyone knew Bo Ji's character well. She was humble, tolerant, filial, kind, and loving to her people. Her son Lu Heng became the king of Dai. Yes, Bo Ji was the real ruler. The young king was kind and very clever. He was low-key, smart, and caused no trouble. Among the 2 remaining Lu family heirs, everyone agreed Lu Heng was more reliable and kinder. Thanks to great parenting from Bo Ji, he was different. So, they chose Lu Heng to truly succeed Lu Bang. He became the new emperor. He later became the famous Emperor Wen of Han in history. After his death, his successor was Emperor Jing of Han. Their reign lasted about 30 to 40 years. This was the height of the Han dynasty in China. It was the wealthiest, most virtuous, peaceful, and prosperous era. It was truly so. A time of peace.
So Bo Ji really bore an emperor, as fated by heaven.
Not only that she gave birth, but the child was exceptional. Emperor Wen's greatness was genuine. He ruled for many years, and his reign was outstanding. For example, the officials he rewarded were excellent. Everyone wore cloth, satin, or leather shoes, right? What did Emperor Wen wear? Straw sandals. He wore his emperor robe for 40 years. In the palace, he often stood on a hill to look outside, seeing that he'd stand there every day, in rain or shine without fail. His assistant suggested that a pavilion or a watchtower should be built. to view the city shaded from the sun and rain. After finding out about the construction cost, he called it off because it was too expensive. That's great frugality. This was genuine, not a myth or act. He was truly very thrifty. But emperors were not judged by thriftiness alone. The emperor's duty is to govern the people. Ensuring they have food and peace defines a great ruler. He achieved this and remained frugal. That's why he's called the kindest and wisest emperors. That's Emperor 1. Interesting, right? Amazing, isn't it? So, all this, do you think it's natural talent?
There must be some upbringing involved.
I think he had natural ability, but his mother was truly remarkable. That was Bo Ji. So the child grew up to be a very kind and compassionate person. He was one of the most tolerant, wise, and best emperors in Chinese history. Really amazing.
Indeed.
Master Su Fu predicted Bo Ji would give birth to an emperor. That prophecy finally came true. Interesting, yes?
It's a bit complicated, but it worked out in the end.
Yes, with twists and turns. But in the end, she truly gave birth to a wonderful son.
Her life was indeed dramatic and filled with highs and lows. Heaven rewarded her because her character and life philosophy remained steadfast. She was born noble with a grand destiny. Are only great figures destined to succeed? What about the commoners?
How much one is destined to succeed has something to do with one's fate. Everyone has a mission. Some are destined to fulfill great missions, while others are destined to fulfill common missions. When someone's destiny is to be a cook, they often don't succeed in studying construction, carpentry, or other fields. The only thing they excel in is cooking. They are natural chefs. Some are born carpenters. They are skillful in woodwork, creating furniture. I believe everyone has a destiny, a life mission each person is meant to accomplish.
Master, you once shared with us a story from your hometown.
Many years ago, possibly around 40 or 50 years back, people invented a distinctive way of fortune-telling. Two people would hold a grain sieve by hand. The one used to sift rice or husk. Underneath the sieve, they placed a pen or a chopstick. On a very flat table, they evenly spread white flour over it. With the flour, whether an insect crawled or a hand brushed over, it would leave visible marks, right? Back then, people called this Fuji, or planchette writing, a practice of seeking prophetic messages by holding something. It's done by two people holding it. The holders are uneducated and cannot write. People believe they could invite spirits to find answers. One lady said, "Come, reveal to me, what is my fate?" Spirits, please provide us guidance swiftly. What kind of work will I do in the future? Will it be good? What type of job? After some shaking, on a surface dusted with flour, it spelled out, "Weave mat."
Incredible.
The lady would become a mat weaver. You know, mats crafted from sorghum stalks, processed and interwoven into a mat. That's what people slept on. Mats can also be woven from reeds. Both types exist. It was a tradition in our village. For women, weaving is very tiring. Their hands and bodies ache all over. If that was the lady's fate, she'd fail in everything. Except weaving.
That's her mission.
There was also a young boy, just a teenager. He wondered if he could get a wife. Yes, a little boy. 2 words were revealed. 2 wives. He was happy. Yes. After marrying his first wife, who fell into the water and drowned, he married another wife. That was his second wife. Indeed, he married 2 wives. He asked if he'd have a wife, and the answer was 2 wives, and it all came true. Like I said, some are fated to achieve great missions. It's their fate. Some are fated to achieve small things. Everyone has their own fate. Everyone is unique.
Everyone is born with a unique mission to fulfill.
That's why lifespan, wealth, and number of children, or their conditions often stay about the same. Skilled fortune tellers can predict these predetermined things.
Master, I have a question. Both Boji and Empress Lu were Empress Dowagers. Both were destined to give birth to emperors. But why did Lu's son, Lu Ying, die young? And serve only 8 years as a puppet emperor? While Boji's son, Lu Heng, was able to create a prosperous Jing and Wen era, becoming such a successful emperor? How different were the missions of Boji and Empress Lu?
First, I want to say this: all consequences are fated. Yes, even unfavorable consequences. But I believe consequences, to a certain extent, can be shaped by human effort. I believe that the ruling length of Empress Lu's son had been predicted, and the child's mother was aware. But not all emperors are the same. At that time, the rather civilized and educated people emphasized filial piety greatly, especially toward one's mother. That was the case in ancient China. A mother raises you, nurtures, educates, and cares for you. No matter who you turn against, never your mother. This is passed down in history.
The greatest virtue.
Be filial towards your mother first, then your father. Take Empress Lu, for example. Her child was very weak. I believe the child's blessing, particularly his health and longevity, was partly taken by Empress Lu. While in rule, she killed many innocent people. She also killed many of her own clan. Some of the child's siblings were killed by Empress Lu. The children she killed were also his son's brothers, half-brothers by the same father. Even his uncles, too. Many others were killed. They were all his relatives. They were killed by his mother, Empress Lu. These deadly sins were paid for by the young emperor in the form of his poor health and short life. As a result, few know about this young emperor in history. Few realize this son of Lu actually ruled. He is almost erased from memory. His mother's harshness also made many reluctant to accept him as emperor. Her actions were immoral. This depleted his son's blessings. His mother committed too much killing. Once she gained the upper hand over Qi, after her husband died, she lost control. She began to kill violently and without restraint. This behavior was hated by all, so she was cursed in history. Even her own children left no good reputation historically.
This is karma.
Yes, her son paid the price.
Yes, thank you, Master, for explaining.
Boji was fated to bear a would-be emperor. Her motto was maintaining peace with others. If she was just a commoner, would such a character help her family to prosper?
A virtuous woman.
Right, if a woman is virtuous. It's hard to say she can't achieve great things. If she is a virtuous woman, she'll help her family prosper. An evil woman will ruin the household. If you marry a virtuous woman, your family will thrive and prosper. The second benefit is to the children. Boji's son was well raised. He was taught to rule with kindness. Such people cause no harm to others, so others will naturally support them. There is a saying in legend, "I help everyone, and everyone helps me." Offer help, and when you need help, you'll get it. Help will arrive even if you don't ask. That's how it is. Offer help when people are sick, and lend a hand when people need to move house. Those who help others gain their favor. People like Boji are loved. Her family members are destined for success.
A good fate is nothing without kindness and good deeds. This leads to greatness. Thank you, Master.
After King Wen took the throne, he gained great support from the ministers, who were eager to assist him. Because he was kind, he wouldn't abuse his power. He was not that kind of person. He was tolerant of everyone. His tolerance stemmed from a famous reform in history. It occurred before Lu's rebellion. Before Lu rebelled, the laws left by Qin Shi Huang belonged to the Qin Empire. During the Qin Empire era, there were the famous Xiangyang reforms. The Xiangyang reforms. What were they about? There was legalism. It states that human nature is inherently evil. Without restraints, evil and sins will arise. To a certain extent, the imposition of rules and regulations is an example of the way of legalism. Like crossing the street, green light means go, red means stop. There are rules the entire country must adhere to. This is management by enforcing rules. Before Xiangyang's reforms, Qin was very poor. Xiangyang advocated that human nature has both good and evil. Without guidance, evil will outweigh kindness. If there's no way to guide or control it, it turns into mob violence and chaos. When rulers couldn't contain the clans at that time, chaos was the result. This caused conflict between officials and local forces. Many wouldn't obey the authorities. Then, Xiangyang came up with the idea of implementing laws. Those who broke the laws would be punished. Xiangyang died by the very laws he promoted. People opposed his strict methods. He died under the severe laws he advocated. His death was by painful dismemberment by 5 horses. Yet he insisted his ideals must continue. So legalist ideas greatly helped build Qin. That's how it worked. There were no thefts or break-ins, because thieves and burglars would get their hands cut off. Who would risk it? Life would be harder without your hands. You're risking losing your hands or your eyes. That's how strict the laws were. So what's whipping in Singapore today? Nothing, compared to Qin dynasty laws. That's why no one dared to break the law. Then came Emperor Wen of Han, marking the Han dynasty. A few decades later there was the Han dynasty, and then came Emperor Wen's reign. He promoted ruling with tolerance and compassion. History calls this rule by non-action. It's an idea in Taoism. The idea is that heaven and earth are one, from the same source, right? We're all one family. There's no need for conflicts. Everyone is basically good, right? It's okay to punish, but not too harshly. A fine would suffice. They preferred fines over severe punishments. Pay a fine and avoid prison time. No need to cut off limbs or gouge out eyes. He abolished many harsh tortures. Many cruel punishments were eliminated. Some said tolerance towards wrongdoers made society uneasy. But proper tolerance greatly benefits the economy and society. How wealthy were they then? After over 10 years under Emperor Wen of Han, the national treasury was piled high with money. The nation became rich and prosperous, and its people strong. He was succeeded by Emperor Jing, who ruled similarly, with great tolerance and non-action. Their politics, culture, economy, and technology were all very prosperous.
Thanks, Master, for this wonderful story.
I think fate depends on one's accumulated merit. We've discussed this countless times. I'm not bluffing, okay? Today's people have such broad knowledge. They're smart, you can't fool them. Everyone knows about this. Before I tell you these, I've done my own research to confirm my view was right. I can only tell you what I believe is right. Physiognomy is the study of fate using clues such as birth date and time. Who decides our fate? We don't know. Everyone's fate is different. Looking at our facial features, each one is unique. Even close family members or twins differ. This means everyone's fate is different. Some people succeed. Some fail. And some get caught and even executed. All consequences are written on the faces. If a child is still young, 16 or 17, and hasn't made any mistakes or done any good deeds, the child's parents might bring him to a fortune teller. If the predictions are good, everyone will be happy. If it's unfavorable, the fortune teller might upset their client. Whatever the fortune teller predicts, that is what you'll experience in life. For me, when I studied physiognomy, I learned one thing. Your face, your destiny. Fortune tellers believe that fate influences appearance. These are two distinct philosophies. I studied physiognomy first, not fortune telling. For instance, when I observe a broad forehead, bright eyes, and well-proportioned features, I perceive a prosperous look. I make decisions based on appearance. That's the method I use to make predictions. Fortune tellers begin by analyzing your birth date and time, and then predict how favorable your fate is. For them, it's fate first, appearance second. Here, we see two schools of thought: your fate, your face. This is how our fate is formed. The Buddha has already taught us, you reap what you sow. To know your past, look at how you're suffering now. To know your future, look at what you're doing now. My message is this: make yourself a kind person. I also suggest trying to practice one good deed a day. The deed can be big or small. You don't need to donate a lot of money daily. Every day you can show kindness, bringing benefits or happiness to others. This is also one good deed daily. Virtue is gained through daily accumulation. Don't wait for disaster to seek help. That's already too late. Keep doing good deeds. Eventually, you will have a beautiful fate. If you're listening to this, then start acting. In the end, kindness and your spirit unite. Kindness is you, you are kindness. As we keep this self-reminder during practice, we elevate our spiritual level. Of course, there is small and great kindness. Through steady accumulation and reflection, it naturally grows. Your kindness builds and elevates over time. Start small and becomes great, from loving yourself to others and finally benefiting all beings. Kindness always has room to grow. It's a process of spiritual achievement. In Buddhism, there's this idea that ordinary people love themselves. Why do people become sad? They care about people scolding, glaring, and gossiping. When they feel pain, they think they're dying, or someone has poisoned them. They always imagine the worst possible negative outcomes. That's not right. Truly kind people let go of their own feelings and instead seek to benefit others. Look at Boji. She was surrounded by great dangers, yet she avoided all of them. She always thought of helping others and tried to stay away from conflicts. Kindness itself is like that. There's no conflict if you don't start one. She just wanted to be a good person, right? Qi and Empress Liu were just too greedy, right? That brought disasters. They wanted to destroy and replace each other. In the end, they both got destroyed by their own greed. Those who help others are never targeted. Good people are safe because people don't see them as a threat.
They always offer help.
Yes. To be a good person, first, learn to help others. Second, accept loss as a blessing. My mother taught me to cherish losses, telling me, I'll understand when I grow up. I share this saying with all of you today. Accepting loss as a blessing. I truly believe this.
Thank you, Master.
You'll gain back what you lost. All right, this concludes today's live stream. Thank you. See you next time.
Thank you, Master.
小的红点里，人生就此欢喜。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。在茫茫人海之中，让我与你相遇。小小的红点里，人生变得神奇。我智慧了，我宽容了，我慈悲了，我自在了。因为有了你，生命变得更坚定，不忧忧无虑。因为有了你，日子不再有哭泣，不再